Welcome to Manager's Mantra, where we bring you insights from India's most inspiring business leaders. Today we have with us Mr. Aditya Shankar, co-founder of Centricity WealthTech, a tech-driven wealth management platform with over 8,000 crores in AUM, backed by marquee investors like MS Dhoni and Ritesh Agarwal. From his early days at Citigold and Standard Chartered to building one of India's fastest growing wealth tech firms, Aditya's journey is full of lessons for young managers and entrepreneurs. So let's begin. So welcome to Manager's Mantra, and today we have with us the co-founder of Centricity WealthTech, Mr. Aditya Shankar. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Garima.
So I will begin with my first question, which is a little bit about your career and your journey through the beginning years and following to co-founding this company. So you started with Citibank, went on to Standard Chartered, and then to 361 Wealth. So at what point in your career as a banker you thought, now you had to get into the entrepreneurial role? And what lessons from your corporate stint actually helped you in building a business?
Sure. So that's I think one of the most interesting questions. So me and my other co-founders in this journey, including Manu, who's the founder and CEO, we have had a very similar professional journeys, right? Most of us have very extensive experience in fact, all of us have very extensive experience in wealth management, investment management, as well as private banking, private wealth, right? We started with the gold standard in relationship management and wealth management, which is MNCs like Citibank and Standard Chartered. And in our previous roles, we spent more than a decade with India's largest homegrown wealth manager, which is 361 Wealth, which was earlier IFL Private Wealth, right? Now, I would say the seeds of this entrepreneurial journey were sown sometime during the pandemic. And like many others, we had a lot of time on our hands to think about how our journeys have been, till now, or what we expected of this landscape in the future. We already had experienced, quite a few value gaps or loopholes that existed. Not loopholes really, but certain gaps that existed in the landscape in India. How it had evolved from a very nascent stage to a reasonably sophisticated landscape, and what could be done to improve it further, right? So this was a time when we wanted to not only ideate and think, but to actually execute it. And therefore, in 2021, after quitting IFL Wealth, after almost a decade, we decided to start Centricity. We had a overall broad idea of what we had to do. But what we did after that was a result of a variety of factors, combination of factors. As regards your second question, I think working with larger institutions like Standard Chartered or Citi or IFL Wealth is a privilege in its own, right? There is a lot that these institutions teach you about overall professional excellence, about engagement, impeccable engagement with your clients, the absolute non-negotiables that exist when it comes to wealth management, adherence to compliance. All of these are things that get inculcated in your DNA. These are not things that you can learn overnight. These are embedded in your DNA over a period of time, and these contribute to a large extent to an institution which you are set out to build yourself. So I would credit most of these stints as a starting point for my eventual journey, as an entrepreneur.
That's amazing. And you said you started just around end of 2021, but in a very small time you have scaled Centricity to a $125 million valuation, and along with more than 8,000 crores in AUM. So that's what has been your toughest milestone in doing that?
So I would just like to correct you once. So we have already touched about 9,000 crore plus, and we are moving reasonably fast. So that was one thing I wanted to say. First of all, the credit entirely goes to the team, and we have been very lucky as an institution to have onboarded some of the best talent in the industry to reach these milestones in a very short period of time. I think the toughest milestone always is to get the right people in the right place, right? Because obviously we are a country which is scarce in terms of talent, especially senior and mid-level management, right? And it is very difficult in the initial conceptual years to convince people about joining or convincing them about sharing a vision which seems quite far in the initial phase, right? So that was, I think, the biggest challenge. So getting in senior management like Faraz Mahmood, who manages the northern and eastern part of our B2B business, or Anirudh Menot, who manages the southern and western part of the business, or getting in our first human resources head, which is Rashmi, or some of these milestones I would say are the toughest, because unless you have the right people, you will never achieve the numbers, right? So these, in my opinion, have been the toughest milestones.
So, this is more of a follow-up question, but was there any technique, any particular, way you adopted to hire and or onboard all these important people that you just mentioned? Was there any particular way that helped you in doing that?
So see, spending a lot of time in the ecosystem obviously helps. So you know the right people, you know who are the best people in the industry. But what is tough is that most of these talented individuals are colleagues to you or ex-colleagues to you. And it is very difficult for them to be accepting of the fact that they would be joining this journey at a slightly later stage, right? So it's not very easy to convince them that although we have been colleagues, but you will be part of this journey, and we have started this company, and you will be part of this journey, and you have to perform XYZ functions or whatever it is. So there is no set techniques. There are no standardized mantras for this. It has to be a very continuous process. It has to be a tough process, and you need to have a very relentless focus on hiring the right talent. It needs a lot of cajoling, a lot of convincing, but eventually you get setbacks also. But then you have to be relentless about it. There is no set formula to achieve this.
Thank you so much for that. Now, coming to your investors, you have some very interesting investors. So, what does it mean to have such marquee investors like the MS Dhoni's family fund, the office, or even Ritesh Agarwal? Does it also put an extra pressure on the team to deliver?
So, apart from Lightspeed India Partners, which is our largest institutional investor and one of the most reputed VC firms in the world, and marquee individual investors like Mahendra Singh Dhoni's family office, as well as Ritesh Agarwal, I believe that this is positive pressure. It is the right kind of pressure for an entrepreneur, right? When such accomplished individuals or a group of individuals trust you and decide to share your vision at a very early stage, means that you're doing something right? And it thrusts you into a very competitive state of mind, that you have to succeed no matter what. Now that such accomplished people have invested in you. Everybody knows that MS Dhoni is one of the most accomplished sportsmen in the country, and Ritesh Agarwal at a very young age managed to do something which seemed impossible, right? They have done it all, seen it all, and they have from time to time mentored us also in the right way. Possibly not directly, but in a lot of ways which contribute to us working harder and harder to achieve our goals. So this, like I said, it is good kind of pressure. It's not bad kind of pressure. And obviously there is no direct pressure for them to achieve certain milestones or numbers or whatever it is, but we are driven to work even harder so that their validation does not go to vain. Yeah.
Right, but you said they've also mentored you time and again. So do you have any memorable advice that you've gotten from either of them?
So I think in one of the discussions that Manu had with Ritesh, one of the most important aspects that Ritesh mentioned, was that and also coincidentally in a discussion where all of us were sitting together with Mahendra Dhoni, both of them have emphasized a lot on balancing personal lives with the rigors of entrepreneurship, right? Because an entrepreneur has to put in a higher number of hours than a professional. They take on a lot of pressure in terms of managing large teams, achieving numbers, managing investor expectations, so forth and so on. And who better than individuals like MS or Ritesh to tell you how to manage personal lives along with this journey, right? And that to me is one of the most important advice that you can get. A lot of people give you professional advice or tips about how you can grow numbers and how you can achieve numbers and so forth and so on. But this is, I believe, the most important thing of all. And obviously them being such individuals is very, very credible advice. Right?
Yeah, definitely. And also, in a time when most big entrepreneurs are promoting more number of work hours, this is, I guess, right.
So at no point of time were we advised on giving in lesser number of hours, but the trick about balancing it with your personal lives, as in giving priority to your family along with putting in those hours is I think what the advice was about. So yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. Now, coming to the fact that you believe in democratizing wealth management. So, how would you make high quality advice accessible to young professionals who probably have, maybe something around 5 to 10,000 a month to invest?
We look at wealth management in a very inclusive fashion, right? We straddle the entire segment in wealth, from retail, which is the long tail of the market, to emerging affluent, to affluent HNIs and ultra high net worth individuals, right? Our approach to different segments is different, but we straddle the entire segment. We are inclusive of all. But our overall model is a tech-based or tech-first assisted wealth management model. We definitely believe that the individual's role or a human's role or a human's empathy in the whole wealth management decision-making process is very important, right? So for an individual who's just about starting up in a job and he wants to do savings and investments, is helped in this journey by our extended team of financial product distributors who also act as a guiding force on how one should start their investment journey from a very young age. So we have an extended team of almost 10,000 financial product distributors across the country now, who are managing in a very short span of time more than 45,000 clients pan-India across the 70 locations that we have right now, and growing very fast. We add almost 100 investors every hour, right? So this is the speed at which we are growing. And like I said, for any individual, irrespective of the segment that he might fall in terms of the money that he wants to invest, we have a assisted model with the backing of a very robust tech platform to help him take the right decision in terms of investing the money.
So that was amazing, and I'm sure our young audience will be very excited to know that. Now let's come to the fact that many young finance professionals now wish to be wealth managers. So what, according to you, are the skills or the mindset one should develop to get into this field?
In fact, if I give you some numbers, basic numbers, I think we have about 250,000, roughly 250,000 mutual fund distributors in the country, and the number is growing very fast. And this is a space which is which is picking up really fast, especially in tier 2, tier 3 cities, where more and more people want to get into this business and profession. I think two of the biggest skills that one would want to have as a financial advisor or a financial product distributor would be the ability to listen and to be patient. Because one needs to hear about what an investor is looking for when he's investing money. What are his goals? What are his expectations? How risk averse or risk taking or risk aggressive is that person? Without listening to these facts, one cannot advise or recommend aptly. Some of the other skills would be to be good at basic numbers, basic arithmetic, and also to be aware of the overall investments and financial landscape in the country while referring to public domain, pink newspapers, or credible content being generated by registered financial experts. So all of this would contribute one to be an informed and skilled and qualified financial advisor, or a mutual fund distributor, or independent financial advisor, whatever the nomenclature is. But these are some of the basic skills that one would require.
Now, if you were to give an advice to a 25-year-old aspiring entrepreneur or a manager, what would it be?
So are you referring to like the financial services industry?
Yeah, yes.
Because that's a tough one. I think the first thing I would like to say is that one should be ready for the long haul. Right? There are no shortcuts. There is no overnight success. And I think that applies to most other professions and industries also. So one has to be ready to put in the number of years, discipline, professional discipline, adherence to the institutional, whatever the institution's overall vision is, to be consultative in the process or the daily work process, to be a team player, and generally be a hard worker, because there is no there are no shortcuts to success but to work really hard. Along the way, one can afford to work smart also, but there is no substitute to hard work, right? So put in those number of years. One cannot expect to make an impact in a short span of time. One cannot be expected to be a game changer or revolutionary in a work experience of 2 years. So one has to put in those number of years, be hardworking, be a good listener, and be a team player. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. That brings me to my last question, which is how do you personally stay on the top of your game while, managing such a fast-growing company and also keeping up with the markets?
I'm not sure if I'm on top of the game.
Sure you are.
Yeah, so we are always trying to catch up. But I think with Centricity specifically, we have been blessed to have a very diverse and fairly large founding team, right? Which allows us to delegate and allows us to distribute work very in a very judicious manner, right? So if I am looking after a couple of domains, then I'm just looking after a couple of domains. So nobody is intruding into my territory or nobody is trying to do something beyond their territory. So everybody has their tasks divided. Everybody is doing what they're supposed to do, and that kind of makes the journey a little bit easier. But how we try to keep on top of the game is to meet as many industry experts as possible, or as many stakeholders as possible in a week or in a month, as per our schedule or as per time permits, so that we constantly get to know what is happening in the industry, what are the new trends, what are the new things that we should be aware of. All of this helps us in the daily decision making process. So yeah, that would be my submission.
That is great. So what I've gotten to take away from your conversation is that one, you need to be very sure and very aware of the partners you choose while starting a business.
Yes.
And communication and building relations with people and experts is, I guess, the second important thing.
Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
you
Absolutely.
agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you so much for having this conversation
Thank
with
you so
us and
much.
sharing your journey and your thoughts with us. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for being
Thank you.
on
Thank you to the
Managers
viewers also.
Thank you, Aditya, for showing us what it takes to leap from corporate to entrepreneurship, build a winning team, and earn the trust of legends like MS Dhoni and Ritesh Agarwal. Be Smart viewers, if you found value in this conversation, write to us at bsmart.edit at bsmail.in. Follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram for more such insightful and inspiring content. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing.